AITA for having my brother removed after he tried to hijack my wedding speech. I am getting married to my fiancée in 3 months, and the wedding is total chaos, but not for the right reasons. For some, the chaos is because the band canceled at the last minute. For me, it is chaos because of my brother and a part of my family. My parents have not stopped calling me for 2 weeks because I told them my cousin would be my best man instead of my brother. To them, it is a tradition that the brother stands by the groom's side, and that is how it works in our family. My mom called me 6 times just yesterday. In our family, tradition dictates that the oldest son is always the best man for his younger brother. My grandfather did it for his brother in the 50s. My dad did it for his brother in the 80s. And my brother expected me to do the same. My parents keep saying that breaking this tradition would humiliate my brother in front of everyone at the wedding and that people will talk. They claim that extended family members will think something terrible happened between us to explain this change. My dad told me last week that I will regret this decision for the rest of my life. The problem is this: my brother has always been awful to everyone since we were kids. He has anger issues that no one in my family wants to acknowledge. When we were little, he would yell at me because I used his Xbox controller or because I sat in what he considered his spot on the couch. Once, when I was 12, I accidentally spilled juice on his homework and he chased me all over the house, throwing whatever he could find at me. My mom stepped in and told me to apologize. She made me redo all his homework while he stayed in front of the TV. This pattern continued into adulthood. My brother moved out at 25, but he still comes to family dinner twice a month. And during these dinners, he criticizes absolutely everything. Last Christmas, my mom spent 3 days preparing a ham with her special glaze recipe. My brother took one bite and said it tasted like cardboard. Then he spent 10 minutes explaining how she should have cooked it. My mom just nodded and said she would try his method next time. The worst part is how he treats my fiancée. She has made a huge effort to be nice to him. When my brother moved into his new apartment 2 years ago, my fiancée helped him unpack his boxes. One Saturday, she organized his kitchen and even gave him a plant. The following week, at Sunday dinner, my brother said the plant was very hard to take care of and that it was already dying. It was not his fault for not learning anything in school or even thinking to water it. It was my fiancé's fault for giving him something alive and so complicated. When my fiancée asked him if he had watered it as she had written down for him, he made a face like he did not understand what she was talking about. So, I had to explain to him that some living things need water to survive and that he should try using his brain. There was an argument, and we all ended up eating in silence. Another time, my fiancée baked cookies for my brother's birthday and brought them to his place. She used a recipe that took 4 hours because the dough had to rest twice. I do not know if that is necessary, but they were good. My brother opened the box, looked at the cookies, and told her they looked store-bought. He asked her if she was trying to pass off supermarket cookies as homemade. I only found out about this 6 months later because my fiancée did not want to cause problems in my family. When I finally found out, I asked my parents if they had bought my brother at a yard sale because he must be defective. My brother's behavior is not limited to my fiancée. He treats everyone this way, inside and outside the family. Last year, we went to a steakhouse for my dad's birthday. Our server was about 19 and clearly new. He forgot to bring my brother's mashed potatoes with his steak. No big deal when you are a decent person. You just remind him, and that is it. My brother called him incompetent and demanded to see the manager. He told the manager that he should fire him because someone so stupid should not be interacting with customers. My parents said nothing. They sat there finishing their meal while this kid stood near our table looking like he wanted to disappear. I had to leave a big tip to make up for it because it did not seem right to me to treat someone serving you like that. They could have done something to our food, but my brother does not understand that kind of thing. He does not think past his own nose. I have tried talking to my brother about his behavior several times over the years. When I was 23, I asked him why he felt the need to tear others down. He replied that I was too sensitive and that he was just being honest. He was simply telling the truth, and it should not offend anyone. Yet, when someone tells him the truth, he seems quite offended. I never tried talking to him about his behavior again. It was a waste of time. My parents have always excused his attitude and are largely responsible for how he turned out. My mom says he has a difficult personality because of this or that thing that happened to him in his childhood. The reason changes every time, but she tries to justify who he is today. My dad says it is a trait of successful people, as if he were Steve Jobs. The only difference is that Steve Jobs at least made millions. My brother only mastered the second part. What he does not see is that his co-workers probably hate him. He mentioned that he was passed over for promotion 3 times in the last 5 years. He blames company politics every time. It is never his total lack of competence, and I am being sarcastic. The reason I chose my cousin as my best man is simple. My cousin has always been there for me in all the important moments of my life. He is like a brother, but without the flaws of the official model. He is the exact opposite of my brother, including in how he treats my fiancée. My fiancée loves giving those kinds of gifts and helping out, but unlike my brother, my cousin is grateful to her. In fact, he returned the favor by helping us move and bringing us a gift. That is why I want him by my side and not my brother. I do not want the whole ceremony to turn into him correcting the officiant, explaining how he should marry us better. I can already picture it. No, I did not like that sermon. Use these words instead. After I announced my decision to my parents 2 weeks ago, things got worse. My mom called my fiancée to tell her she needed to convince me to change my mind. I never claimed I was doing this for her. There are plenty of reasons not to pick my brother, but my mom thinks it is her fault. My fiancée handed me the phone without saying a word. I told her it was my decision and that my fiancé had nothing to do with it. My mom hung up on me. My dad tried another approach. He invited me to lunch and spent an hour explaining why this tradition was important. Family ties were, according to him, more important than personal feelings. My brother had been waiting to be my best man since I got engaged. I was breaking his heart, and it would destroy our relationship forever. I finished my meal, ordered dessert very calmly, and then I left, leaving him talking to himself. I was not the one who suggested lunch, so I had no obligation to keep listening once I was done eating. My parents called again this morning. They told me my brother was deeply hurt, which makes me picture him like a wounded animal licking its wounds. They called to propose a compromise, that my cousin and my brother both be best men. I told them I had a better compromise. He could either keep quiet or not come to the wedding. My mom started crying and said he did not want to miss the event, but that people were going to ask questions and she would not know what to answer. I suggested she tell the truth, that no one can stand my brother, but she hung up on me. My cousin will be my best man. My brother will be invited as a regular guest if he wants to come, but he will not be by my side during the ceremony. My parents can accept it or not come. Same for my brother. It is my damn wedding. We deserve a little peace and joy, not to have to deal with an adult's tantrums. He is older than me and acts like he was born 3 days ago. Update 1. Here we go again with the monthly episode of the absurd adventures of my brother and his sidekicks, also known as my parents. About a week after my first post, my aunt called me. She is my mom's sister, but she is reasonable. She showed me screenshots of a group chat my mom had created with about 20 family members. The group was called Family Crisis, and my mom had been sending messages in it for several days. All the messages revolved around my refusal to make my brother the best man. She criticized my fiancée, blamed her, and said my marriage was doomed from the start because I was a man dominated by my fiancée. She completely ignored all the years my brother was a total jerk to me. The messages got even worse as she depicted my brother as a true guardian angel. She claimed he chased away bullies in high school, which is completely false since he was more of a bully himself, not particularly toward me, but toward other students. I was never bullied in high school, even though my brother made sure to make fun of me at home. My aunt told me she wanted me to know what was going on before the wedding and that most group members read the messages without replying. A few supported my mom, like my uncle on my dad's side who wrote that the younger generations no longer respect values. She also told me my brother was spending all his afternoons at my parents' house that week. He was holding family meetings I was not invited to, a sort of anti-family committee. It did not worry me too much. They probably spent more time discussing the foods my brother dislikes than dealing with real issues. That evening, my fiancée received a text from a number neither she nor I had saved. The message said she was a filthy, cheating, pretentious woman. My fiancée showed it to me and asked if I thought it came from my brother. I told her I did not know, but I was going to find out. I called my brother for the first time in months. I asked him directly if he had sent that message. He pretended not to understand what I was talking about, but I know him. He suggested someone else in the family might have been fed up with her turning me against them. I asked him what he meant. According to him, my fiancée had clearly manipulated me because the old me would never have disrespected family traditions like that. I hung up. Later, I asked a friend to use his phone, and I called the number. I had a suspicion, and I was not going to use my own number in case I was right. My brother answered. I did not say anything. I just hung up, but I am sure that number is his work number. He only said his name, not the name of the company he works for. But I will keep digging. If I prove that he not only used company resources, but used them to insult my fiancée, being my best man will be the least of his worries. Maybe a family tradition will end up being broken, the one of not having trouble with the law. Well, there is a distant cousin who robbed banks 30 years ago, but I do not think that counts. The next day, my dad came to our house at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. He was already knocking on the door. I was still in my pajamas when I opened it. He said he needed to talk to me, but I told him I was not going to put up with his nonsense on an empty stomach. At the risk of giving the impression that I use my parents for food, which is true, I also wanted to get him out of the house. We went to a diner for breakfast, but I told him he was paying. By the way, when we sat down and took our order, I let the waitress know that my dad was treating me. I wanted to be sure. My dad wanted to talk on the way, but I just pointed to my stomach, making gestures as if I could not speak. When we finally talked, he started by saying things had gone too far. The family was tearing itself apart, and it was up to me to fix the situation. By refusing to follow tradition, I had created a situation where my brother felt rejected and humiliated. I acknowledged that I had indeed created a situation, waking the monster that is my brother in his Cookie Monster version. Anyway, I finished my last bite of bacon and left. I asked the staff to take good care of my dad since I had to leave, and that if they did, I would leave them a good tip. I do not know if he left one, but let's just say I did not order the cheapest breakfast. My cousin called me that evening. My mom had contacted him to ask him to step down. She explained the family tradition to him, which at this point probably must include dragons, dark wizards, and a whole universe worthy of Tolkien. She appealed to the fact that my cousin is a good person, which he is, so he would understand why this was important. She told him he could still have an important role in the wedding, but that no one would judge him if he did the right thing. My cousin did not answer and preferred to consult me before saying anything. I told him to ignore all that and that the wedding was proceeding as planned. He asked me if I was sure that he did not want to create unnecessary drama, but I told him the necessary drama was already knocking at the door and I was currently looking for a bat to deal with it. My parents and my brother are already uninvited from the wedding. They just do not know it yet. I am not going to waste my time or my breath telling them since they probably will not care and will show up anyway. I am going to hire security and let them handle it. They are people paid to restore order. I imagine a couple of overly confident parents and their ridiculous son should not cause too many problems. I am still thinking about how to prove that the phone my brother used belongs to his company. For now, I have two plans. Call the company and ask for his number, or ask a friend who does not know my brother to pretend to be a client. If I am right, this could very well be the best wedding gift. For my wife, the best gift is something for the house. She is already looking forward to seeing what people will give her. For me, it is priceless, as the famous commercial says. Edit. I do not know anything about that uncle. I only know he went to prison many years ago and was cut off from the family. I think he must have been released since then. He did not go in for anything super serious, but nobody in the family talks about him. He might have gone back to prison, or he might have reformed. A grown man used his work phone to harass his brother's fiancée over a role in a wedding. His mother created a family group chat called Family Crisis, as if she were managing a PR scandal. And the family's solution is making them both best men, as if that would fix anything. But here is the inconvenient truth. This brother did not get this way on his own. The parents built him piece by piece, excuse after excuse, silent dinner after silent dinner. They created the monster, and now they do not understand why he destroys everything. You cannot raise a storm and then be surprised that it rains. Update 2. The wedding took place 2 weeks ago. I will try to tell this as best as I can so it makes sense, but I am not even sure I can understand myself that people like my family exist. My brother showed up at the wedding with my parents. I had made arrangements with the venue's security not to let them in. I had given them recent pictures of the three of them and added a nice tip as motivation. They were on high alert because they could cause trouble. So all their attention was required, and nothing motivates better than $100 bill. The ceremony went well. My cousin did an amazing job as best man. He kept me calm before my entrance and did not forget the rings. Up until that point, everything was quiet. My parents showed up, but they were denied entry and did not make much of a fuss. They simply left. The reception started normally. My wife and I had our first dance. About an hour later, my brother and my parents came back. I do not know exactly what happened, but they got into an argument with security. Then, my mom pretended to faint so a guard would come help her. My brother took advantage of the moment to sneak in. He grabbed the microphone before the DJ could stop him. My brother started speaking, saying he was there today, but not thanks to an invitation from me, that since he was my older brother, he deserved to be my best man, and that I had instead chosen a stranger I barely knew. My cousin was by my side at that moment. He started walking toward my brother, but I grabbed his arm and told him to wait. My brother continued. He said my wife had changed me and that I was no longer the person I used to be. I think he spoke for about 5 minutes. At least, that is what it felt like until security stepped in. One guard stayed with my parents when they realized my brother had snuck in, while another dealt with him. One of the guards, the one who handled my brother, was a college student who also had a scholarship to play defensive tackle on the university football team. Well, he used his size and strength, and he simply tackled my brother to the ground, sending the microphone flying as he fell. Someone definitely earned his $100 bill. My brother is not very tall. He weighs maybe 150 pounds. Getting tackled by a 260-pound giant must have hurt. In any case, that was the general consensus in the room, given the many gasps we heard. I had already called the police so they could also deal with my mom, who already seemed recovered from her fainting spell. When they arrived with paramedics, my brother started saying, still pinned under the giant, that he had been assaulted. But after it was explained to them that he was on private property and that I had requested he not be present, they simply escorted him out. He was walking weirdly as he left. The DJ started the music back up and people started dancing again. Some family members came up to me to apologize for what had happened. My aunt hugged my wife and told her she looked beautiful. My cousin made a joke saying that at least the entertainment was memorable. Everyone laughed and the party continued. At that moment, I thought it was an even better gift than the one I had planned. I will talk about the other gift at the end because it was not over yet. The rest of the wedding went off without a hitch. 3 days after the wedding, my cousin called me. He told me my parents were angry. My mom was very upset and my brother was talking about cutting ties with me completely. The humiliation at the wedding was already enough, without even mentioning breaking the family tradition. The only way for them to agree to forget all this would be if I apologized and threw another wedding reception where he would be invited. And of course, my brother would be the best man. I told my cousin I preferred the first option, and he could not help but laugh. Now, what happened after the wedding? I wanted to act sooner, but my wife had asked me not to do anything that could complicate the wedding further, and I knew that if I acted beforehand, things would have really escalated. So I waited until after the wedding to take action. A friend helped me verify if the number really belonged to my brother's work phone. He called pretending to be a new client, which confirmed my suspicion. So, about a week after the wedding, I contacted the company's HR department to report what one of their employees had done. I told them I was ready to go to the police and file a complaint against my brother and against them if they did nothing, which I did anyway, just to have it on record. They replied that they would take this very seriously, and I have not heard anything more since. The police said something similar, but so far, I have no news regarding my report. I do not know what to expect. My brother is not going to end up in prison for sending harassing texts, but I hope at least his company will take action. I just hope it will be more than a simple warning with a do not do it again. Maybe they will take away his phone like a teenager who got bad grades. In reality, I am waiting for them to fire him, but I prefer to keep my expectations low so I will not be disappointed. For now, the best wedding gift remains the masterful tackle he received during the party. If we had a video of that, it would be perfect, but I remember it like it was yesterday. Update 3. I have good news and bad news. I will start with the good to get you in the mood, then I will move on to the bad. The good news is that my brother got fired, and even though I would love to take all the credit, the truth is his company was simply looking for a valid reason to get rid of him. My brother went on social media to complain that his company is a place full of greedy capitalists who exploit their employees, that they seize the slightest incident to fire him in order to avoid paying him severance. He also said he planned to sue them, but I doubt it, given that he must have little legal basis to do so. Fortunately, he did not mention anything about my report. It is not like I did it anonymously, but he did not dare say anything about me, or maybe the company did not tell him anything. I think that is not the case because my parents knew the real reason for the firing, and I did not tell them anything. Some people in the family know, so it could have come from there. My parents did not come to my house, but they called me to come over to their place to talk. I told them I would only agree to talk if we went to a restaurant of my choice. They replied that they were tired of paying for my meals and that they would not be fooled again. They know I use them to eat for free before leaving as soon as I finish. So there is the bad news. No more free meals. Well, it is not the worst news either. Last week, my brother sent me a message. It was the first direct contact I had with him since the wedding because when he got tackled, I was not really in the mood to talk to him. The message said I was dead to him, that I had chosen a woman over my own brother, and that I would have to live with that choice. He hoped I was happy with my decision because there would be no turning back. I replied that I was very happy with my choice, and I thanked him for asking. Then I blocked his number. This year, we spent Thanksgiving at my wife's parents' house. Some extended family members have completely cut ties with me, specifically those who were not present at my wedding or who had been talked out of it. You know, all the ones who supported my parents and my brother. My uncle, the one I mentioned earlier, deleted me from Facebook. I still have a cousin, mentioned earlier, and my best man cousin. They were excluded from certain family events for taking a stand, but it does not seem to worry or sadden them. My aunt calls me every few weeks to check in on me. She plays the spy a bit because she has not said anything to my mom, which could be perceived as picking a side. According to her, my parents and my brother are more united than ever. Apparently, they eat dinner together twice a week and spend a lot of time talking about how I betrayed them. My wife and I are doing well. We are settling into our married life. Edit. I did not even mention filing the police report. Like I said, it did not have any serious consequences. Maybe it helped the company fire him to avoid complications, given that he had used a work phone, but I will never know. I simply did what felt right, and the rest followed. Well, the brother got fired, went on social media to call his company capitalist pigs, then sent a message to me saying, "You are dead to me," after ruining the wedding and getting tackled to the ground. No apology, just more victim posturing, and his parents are still having dinner with him, still saying I am the one who betrayed them. But here is the inconvenient truth. The brother will never change. Not because he cannot, but because no one in his life ever gave him a reason to change. And that is the real tragedy. Not the firing, not the tackle, but a family that loved a son in such an unbalanced way that they ended up ruining both of them. Update 4. I received a call from my aunt, who is the source of this new update. My parents had problems with a neighbor because of my brother. My brother was still living at my parents' house and carrying on as usual, complaining about everyone, including the neighbors. But he had a specific conflict with the next-door neighbor with whom he had argued several times over things he thinks he can do better, like the bushes that would apparently look nicer if he trimmed them himself. One of the incidents, my brother thought, or that was his excuse, was that the neighbors were doing inappropriate things in public. So, one night after an argument with them, he came back after drinking, which he does often lately, and started banging on their door at 2 a.m. He was yelling for the neighbor to come out, calling him a coward, saying he was going to deal with him. The neighbors called the police and explained the situation. Then, my brother pulled out his phone and showed a video of the neighbors through their windows doing normal things, nothing inappropriate. But according to him, in his drunken state, it was proof of public indecency. In reality, it was just two adults, the man without a shirt on and the woman in her underwear. My brother claimed to be worried because this window faced a neighbor's house with children. However, the supposedly concerned neighbors claimed they saw nothing and that this window was not even visible from their house. Therefore, there was no way to explain to the police why my brother had entered private property to film them. They confiscated his phone and pressed charges against him. My parents are now considering selling the house because the homeowners association is fed up with them because of my brother. He has problems with everyone, and now some neighbors fear he will film them too. The simplest solution would be to kick my brother out, but my aunt told me they had already thought about it, and that the situation with the neighbors is irreversible with or without him. It is not much because I did not see it myself, but I thought it was worth telling. I have not spoken to them in months. They are keeping their word and have cut me out of their lives. Well, my parents are moving because no one wants them in the neighborhood anymore, and the neighbors are clashing with them. They are tired of my brother and acknowledge my parents' responsibility. Edit. Yes, my parents finally moved, but they did not take my brother with them. He has already found a job and is living on his own again. Regarding the charges, there was not much, just a fine according to my aunt. The only important thing to mention is that his new job is not as good as the previous one. It is the kind of job you take because you need money and you have to get by after getting kicked out by your parents. Comment. What a powerful story about knowing where to draw the line. It really shows that setting a boundary, while incredibly difficult, is one of the greatest acts of self-love. You are not responsible for managing other people's reactions to your reasonable choices. Your only responsibility is to protect your peace and the life you are building. True strength is found in the quiet decision to walk away from chaos. It comes from understanding that you cannot fix someone who is unwilling to see their own faults. The people who truly belong in your life will respect your boundaries, not pressure you to break them. Ultimately, you get to decide what your future looks like and who gets a front row seat. Always choose kindness, but start by showing that kindness to yourself first. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.